Seeing is believing, and believing is seeing. That's right, you guys. Gren Maju OTK took second place at YCS Portland. What's going on, you guys? Slim here, like I promised you guys to talk about Yishan McNabs. I probably butchered your name. I apologize, bro. His second place YCS Portland deck, the talk of the town, the hero of the YCS. This madman, brought Gren Maju OTK with the Castle of Strongberg all the way to the finals of YCS Portland, and I know that the community is still in disbelief. This has been probably the most talked about deck. I honestly think the last time a deck was this talked about was when Dinkaboy won with Prank Kids. And when I'm trying to remember when the guy won with the World Chalice. I mean, we've had some crazy things happen, and everyone honestly thought this deck was going to win. Crazy finals, you know, just insane in general. But we're going to actually talk about why this deck did so well at YCS Portland, why Yishan's deck was insane, and why it dominated the event. So hopefully you guys do enjoy. If you're new here, consider subscribing. If you enjoy these type of videos, you know, give it a like, helps the channel out, helps me out, and it lets me know that you enjoy the content I'm producing here on the channel. Yeah, I have been waiting to talk about this. I've actually been thinking of all the things I wanted to say because I've watched his deck profile. And for those of you who don't know, I've actually played Yishan before. I actually played him at the UDS in Vegas. He actually was not playing this deck, but I have played him before. Johnny and I know him quite well. We have profiled him multiple times on the channel. When he first piloted this deck, he was the one that started this whole trend when he was seen in the feature match where I think he bodied Lightsworn with this deck. It was like so insane, and he just built upon this concept. If you watch the deck profile that like Simo and Bortle and all the YouTubers that were there did, you know, he just talked about how this was kind of his pet deck, and he just kind of, you know, just kept working with it, kept messing with it, kept adding things to it. And I mean, he came up with this crazy strategy that it's just, I mean, this deck is absolutely crazy. I have actually tested it myself. I've actually played against it already because everyone is trying this deck out on Dueling Book, Dueling Net, or, you know, everything. Like, they're just testing it out on all the platforms, and it's crazy. It's honestly crazy. But yeah, like we did on the why this deck won certain event, we're going to, you know, of course, go through the deck list. Then we're going to talk about the reasons I feel that this deck did so well. This deck was so close to winning. And if you read his feature matches, they're ridiculous, like just utterly ridiculous, the things that happen with this deck. And it just shows, you know, when you put a deck together like this, how well it can do. So yeah, I've talked enough. Let's get into the deck list. So for the monsters, he actually played 6 dangers, and he played level 8 dangers. He played Bigfoot and he played Thunderbird, both at 3. He talked about why he played these cards. So the beauty of this was that it allowed you to play cards like Trade In, you know, to accelerate your draws. It gave you the ability to pop cards. And I noticed that what this deck is trying to do is simplify the game state, get rid of as many problematic cards on the board like back row and stuff, and literally just go in and just OTK your opponent. Not only that, these dangers are huge, 2,800 off of Thunderbird, 3,000 off Bigfoot, and they just really do put in a lot of work. They're so strong that, you know, you just put in that extra damage and that's how you win. What's crazy is he actually talked about how Gren Maju is not actually always the win condition. It did win him a lot of games, but you're just basically beating down your opponent with all these crazy cards. So it's nuts. Plus he also blinds second with his deck, so going second with dangers is just nuts. For that reason too, he has 2 Prankatops. He talked about how this was like kind of the last minute addition, but it makes sense. This card is so amazing, one of the best side deck cards of the whole format, last format, this format, and it just has versatility, especially in a going second deck, being able to just summon it. And you know, you have a 2600 beat stick, you have the ability to remove to get rid of a problematic card, the ability to chain off effects to pop extra cards, bait cards out. It just does everything, and it's insane. You know, just like I said, just keeps loading up for like your OTK. Eater of Millions is definitely one of the stars of this deck. Everyone, I think, has forgot about this card. You know, you just banish cards from your extra deck. You could banish all of them. It gains the attack, and then you just banishes cards off, banishes monsters off the field. It just keeps gaining. It just keeps gaining attack, and it's just so problematic. Like, people don't understand. Like, this card is just like a free summon, and it literally just, you know, just gets in there and just removes so many problematic cards off the board that helps you control the game and, you know, bring the speed to your level so that you can just overpower and overwhelm your opponent. So, card is insane. And of course, Gizmek. I mean, of course, this card's in here. This card was made for this deck. As soon as this card came out, we already saw that Gren Maju decks were starting to top. They topped that. I believe, that European event, and then they topped, I don't remember if it was regionals or another event, but it topped, I think, back-to-back weeks. And even though they were small events, it started to give people the idea that, oh man, you know, this deck is like a real strategy, and this card really made it insane. You guys already know this card, just, you know, banishing the top 8 cards of your deck. In this deck, you really want that. The more banished cards you have, the bigger your Gren Maju is, and it's so ridiculous. I think the fact that this card was just added into the deck, you know, makes it like snow. It's a 2450 beater. It's huge, can also pop cards on the board, is just nuts. And I think this card is definitely a staple in this deck, and definitely one of the best cards that came out of the last set and going forward in the format. You guys have seen the price spike with this card. This card is definitely something that I think every player should have a set of. It's definitely something I picked up, and it's something that we may talk about like later on the channel. But yeah, Gizmek Orochi is absolutely insane. It's like Fairy Tale Snow. It's just ridiculous. And in this deck, it's like made for the deck. So what really stood out, and this really did stand out to me in his deck, was how he added Gleef, I believe that's the name, the Phantom Bird, as well as the Hex Trunade, the Hex Trude. So I actually did not know anything about these cards. I didn't know that, you know, this was the card that searched the Golden Castle, but that's insane. Basically, you discard it and you just what do you call it? Get your Strongberg, which is great. It also has the ability, if it is normal summoned or special summoned, you target a card in your opponent's spell and trap zone and destroy it. So that gives you extra removal, which is huge, because the whole point of this deck, clear out the back row, clear out the problematic cards, and just OTK your opponent. And literally, you just one punch man them with Gren Maju, so it's crazy. And then of course, Hex Trude. So this was a card that a lot of people just probably didn't see coming. You know, if you already have Strongberg on the board, you just summon it. You're able to target a card on the field and destroy it. And if you do, this card can make up to 2 attacks, so that's really cool. This card has a really, you know, just has really nifty effects. I think a lot of people weren't paying attention to. And then it also gives you the ability, you know, not only to make like 2 attacks on monsters, but you're also able to, when the card destroys a monster by battle, you can target a face-up monster you control. It gains 400 attack. So basically, you can just keep boosting your Gren Maju or any of your other beaters. And I mean, you put so much pressure on the board. This card is a 2600 free monster to summon with if you have the Golden Castle. That it's just so nuts. You could open this, search this, summon Pregatops. Like, you can do so many things. Damage gets on the board so quickly with this deck, and I think that's what people didn't understand, is that this deck will plow through everything and just really beat you down with big cards, and it was crazy. And of course, star of the show, what can I say? Card gains attack and defense equal to the number of removed cards times 400, and Lord knows we're banishing everything. You banish 8 cards for Gizmek, you banish for Golden Castle, you banish for Desires. I mean, it just goes on and on. You banish for Eater of Millions. Like, this thing gets to insane numbers. I think the biggest one that they had in the feature match was like almost 14,000. It was something insane. Like, literally, one punch, it's over. It doesn't matter what your opponent has. One punch, it's over. So that's pretty crazy. But yeah, that's the monsters. Spells to be called by the grave. You just want your stuff to resolve. You want your trade-ins to resolve. You want your castle to resolve. You want everything to resolve. So having called by the grave is great. It's also just really good. Even though he is going second, you know, if they do make you go first, which usually does happen because they see how your deck plays, you can just get rid of problematic cards, get your stuff out of the graveyard, you know, stop hand traps, etc., and you're good to go. Foolish Burial, you know, can send Gizmek, and, you know, just send whatever. Your Golden Castle Strongbird, so the card that no one, I think, saw coming. So I'll be honest, I barely remembered this card, so I fall into that category. But yeah, once per turn during your standby phase, you must banish 10 cards from the top of your deck face down. It's not optional. Or this card is destroyed during your main phase. You can special summon 1 monster from your deck that specifically lists. The This specifically lists Golden Castle of Stromberg in its text. You cannot normal summon set the turn you activate this card. Even if this card leaves the field, you can only use the effect of Stromberg once per turn. When your opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy the attacking monster, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attack of the monster had on the field. So that's crazy. That's so much text, but if you think about it, this card basically makes it so your opponent can't get to your monsters. They're going to take damage regardless of what they do. Then you're just going to absolutely annihilate them with Gren Maju and all the monsters that are in this deck. This card is nuts. We saw the price spike. Market watches were all over it. Yeah, this card is absolutely insane. And, you know, when you think about it, the fact that it banishes 10, it makes you wonder why no one actually thought of playing this in Gren Maju before. But, of course, the originator, in my opinion, he's the originator of the deck. Yeah, of course he was on it. This card is nuts. Like, we're definitely going to see people trying to play this deck, because the fact that you're playing Strongberg, it's almost like a better version of Mystic Mind for this deck, and it just does so much. You could just get so much damage on the board that games are over in like a turn or two, if that. So pretty crazy. Monster Reborn, standard. Desires, you would not play 3. I mean, this card, like, you want to banish your cards, like for Gren Maju, you want to see your card, you want to get that plus, so this card is huge. Having this and Call by the Grave is broken, because you just, you know, they ash you, you just Call by the Grave, you have the Gren Maju, you summon it, it's huge, it's 4k, plus all the other damage. Yeah, the game's pretty much over. And this Madman also main deck 3 Super Poly. I mean, this is just so insane. Like, yeah, this deck is built to go second. You literally just Super Poly their life away and then just kill them with Gren Maju and all your other cards. Like, why would you not? Like, you're going second, you start with 6 cards, you can afford to discard 1 and just wipe their board. So, absolutely insane in my opinion. You don't really link summon that much, so it doesn't even matter if you have the fusion up in the extra monster zone. You're just summoning all these other monsters, and yeah, the opponent just gets overwhelmed. And then the 1 Terraforming, it's your other copy of Strongberg, and then the 3 Trade-In, because you are playing the 6 Dangers and the 3 Gizmek Orochis, which is an 8, which is crazy. And I believe Trude is also an 8. So yeah, the synergy with this deck is just so insane. Like, this was so well built in my opinion. Like, everything was accounted for that needed to be there. You had the consistency cards, you had the just overpowered blowout cards like Super Poly, and yeah, Strongberg was just something that no one saw coming, so it was crazy. But yeah, that was his main deck. His side deck was just the Gamma Driver package. If you notice, he's not playing any other hand traps. That's right, no other hand traps, you guys. No Ash, no Ogre, no Veiler, no Impermanence, nothing. Didn't need it. He actually didn't need it. It's like how when Brian didn't play Mystic Mind, like in Strikers, yeah, they didn't need it. So this is just insane. And this really is like the best hand trap. Being able to just resolve this is just like game breaking. So this card's insane. 2 Cyclone and 3 Twin Twisters for back row removal. 3 Eradicator, basically same thing. Like, you just blow out Striker and trap decks. Like, I don't think the trap decks have a prayer with this deck. So yeah, Eradicator, blow up their traps. People are wondering, how do you resolve Eradicator? Like, you're gonna resolve it. You have your dangers. You also have the ability to pop off. I think that this can also gain this one also gain the attack, as well as this. With this one's effect, this could gain the attack, but you can also pop this off for Eradicator. So you have a lot of targets in your deck. That's actually crazy now that I look at it. That's nuts. And then you just put their 3. There can only be 1 as the last card in the side deck. This card just blows out decks like Salamangreat, decks like combo decks. Like, they just get restricted, and you just destroy them because all your monsters are different. You've got like 2 different types of dangers: Beast and Wing Beast. You've got Machine, you've got Fiend, you've got Dinosaurs, you've got, the only similar cards are Eater of Millions and Gren Maju. That's crazy. So yeah, this card is like an utter blowout. You guys saw how when it was main decked, it was just insane. So just having this as another option is great against combo and all that. And then lastly, on to the extra deck. So the extra deck, to a lot of people, would not seem that relevant, but it is, because you're not playing cards like Pot of Extravagance. So you do have the main thing. You do have your Super Poly targets. You have Mud Dragon. You have Violet Chimera. You have Starving Venom. For the dark decks, for the salad decks, and for the... This one comes up in just weird situations. It takes 2 monsters with the same attribute but different types. It can come up. You want to have it because there's no reason not to have it. You do have the extra deck room since your extra deck is not that tight like compared to other decks. You have the Dingirsu because you do have the ability to just take your opponent's stuff. Being able to just stack this over, because you are playing the level 8s. Like, if you notice, he is playing rank 8s because of the dangers, because of all the 8s that are in the deck. So this card is just really strong. He plays all the galaxies. He plays the Cypher Blade, the Cypher Dragon, and the Galaxy Photon, be able to pop a card too. So all these cards are nuts. There's no reason not to, especially if you're utilizing the level 8s that he chose to do in this deck, which I really like. He had 2 level 8 negate, 2 rank 8 negates. He had Zombie Stein and Hope Harbinger. He also had number 68, because Santa Fauna is an absolute blowout against salad decks. You basically just win. He played the Barricade Borg Blocker. Being able to protect stuff is great. Being able to get a field spell is also amazing. So really strong. And then he just ended everything with all the nightmares. He played every nightmare except Griffin. He played the Cerebus, the Mermaid, the Phoenix, and the Unicorn, because they're all just really good utility cards. But yeah, that was his main deck, his side deck, and his extra deck. So why did this deck absolutely dominate YCS Portland? Number 1 reason, the pilot. Yishan has been playing this deck for so long. Like, if you guys look back to when he first presented this deck on Johnny's channel, like, it was crazy. Like, I don't think anyone really knew what was going on. It was seen in the feature matches, and it was crazy. And yeah, I mean, no one really knew what was going to come out of this deck. And the fact that he innovated it in a way that I think a lot of people didn't expect at all, with Strongberg and the support cards, is just crazy. Another reason this deck just dominated look at how this deck plays. It literally just can rip through a board. It can literally just Gren Maju you and one punch, like literally, like it's been a meme for a while now with this deck, but you are literally just one punching your opponent with Gren Maju. It gets so huge. All you have to do is 8,000 damage. I know that sounds crazy. You're like 8,000 damage. Yeah, that's all their life points. Yeah, when this thing stacks up to like 13,000, you literally run over one monster. It's just game. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah. Other reason I feel this deck did so well, like I said, I think this deck is very, very well built. I think it covers so many like aspects and so many little things that a lot of players don't think of. It helps you break boards. The inclusion of Super Poly is just insane. The inclusion of Trade-In is ridiculous. Accelerating your deck is huge. The ability to play cards like Strongberg is nuts because it just can make your Gren Maju get huge. You banish 10 off this, 10 off Desires. That's 8,000 on your freaking Gren Maju right there. Like, that's so ridiculous. You banish 8 more cards for Orochi. I mean, it's just utterly insane. Like, the whole theory behind this deck, the way this deck plays, is ridiculous. Now I know a lot of people are like, man, this deck is gimmicky, blah blah blah. Like I said, it comes down to the pilot, and I feel that is one of the huge reasons why this deck did so well at YCS Portland, going all the way to the finals. But that's basically all I gotta say, you guys. Let me know what you guys think. I just had to cover this. I had to give my thoughts. I had to gather my thoughts because there was so much I wanted to say. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. This truly was one of the craziest decks to come out of the YCS, and I want to give a huge shout out to you, Sean, for making this. I mean, you did your thing, man. You really did your thing. Like, congratulations. I know you didn't win, but congratulations. I think in everyone's mind, you really were like one of the champions at this event for piloting this deck. You know, having the courage to bring this deck to a YCS where a lot of people would not do it. They would do it at a regional, maybe a smaller event, but you just came all the way and you did your thing, man. No one saw it coming. And when people heard that Gren Maju was in top 32, top 16, top 8, top 4 finals, it just blew everyone's mind. And you really did, you know, start something crazy with it. And, you know, I love to see what he continues to do with his deck going forward. But yeah, Golden Castle of Strongberg, you guys, they called him the Cinderella story of the event. And if you all watch the anime, y'all know about this. This was the Cinderella deck that played this, and it was crazy. But yeah, those are my thoughts, you guys. I'd love to hear yours down below. If you're trying to build this deck yourself, because there are a lot of crazy cards to pick up, consider using my TCG player link, which is down in the description below. It helps out the channel, it helps out me, and it, you know, the support, and I really do appreciate it. So consider doing that. Also, I just think, like, man, like, I'm blown away by this deck. Play this deck for real. Like, play this deck on, like, a platform, or play this deck in real life. It's so much fun to play. It's so crazy to play against. This deck is really, really crazy. Now, the question is, will this deck be meta? Maybe. I don't really know. It's something that we can't really, you know, predict just yet. People think it might be a one-trick wonder, but I actually don't think so. I think in the hands of, you know, the right pilot like you, Sean, this deck can see a lot of success going forward, even though people are prepared for it. Because as soon as people are prepared for a deck, you just innovate and it just gets better and better. But yeah, those are my thoughts, you guys. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like. If you're new here, consider subscribing and let me know your thoughts on the Gren Maju OTK deck from YCS Portland. It's just, I'll be honest, I never thought in 2019 I'd be talking about this card. I have these, actually. Like, the crazy thing is I actually have these. I had these for like such a long time, and I just, like, I think I played this card when I was a kid, to be honest. I think I did, and like, I don't even remember, but yeah, who would have thought, like, in 2019 with that this deck would get direct support? That's, like, so insane. Yeah, Orochi was actually support for that. Crazy, right? Like, that's Yu-Gi-Oh, you guys. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.